There have been a lot of theories floating around in the Dragon Prince community regarding the possible survival of King Harrow. Indeed, I do not find these theories completely implausible, even though they would contradict a lot of what we know about Harrow's character. But what if he is not Callum's only parent who's secretly alive? What if Sarai, Callum's mother, somehow survived the battle with Avazandum and is living somewhere in the vast, unexplored land of the Dragon Prince? Is this a far-fetched theory? Perhaps, but I don't really find it any more far-fetched than the theories about Eryth being Callum's biological father. And I think it is a fun theory to investigate, so let's contemplate it. One thing we have to establish, and I do not think this is conjecture, is that Viren could have saved Sarai. Think about how Claudia was able to revive Viren at the end of Season 3, and that death was far more brutal. Rayla knocked him off a cliff hundreds of feet high. If you look back at the clip where he is revived, you can see his crown, and it is grotesquely twisted. That thing is made of metal, and yet it is contorted in all of these unnatural ways. When Sarai died, her body still resembled the body of a living human being. Viren's death, however, was likely far more graphic. And yet Viren did not revive Sarai with dark magic, whereas Claudia was able to revive her father. There are several options for resolving this aporia, but only two stick out to me as being even vaguely credible. The first is that Viren is a less powerful mage than Claudia, and I find that kind of unlikely. Especially considering Claudia is not even taking advantage of Eryth's powers when she revives Viren. Rather, I think the second option is more likely, that option being that Viren just chose not to save her. If we are to stick with the idea that Sarai is indeed dead, then it is possible that Viren could have been too shocked to save her. Again, we don't think rationally when we're in stressful situations, and it is foolish and counterproductive to pretend otherwise. However, it is also possible that Viren made the choice not to save her because he knew her death would make Harrow distraught, and thus more susceptible to Viren's more extremist thinking. If we are to accept the idea that he is not thinking rationally, it seems strange that he remembers to capture her last breath in a jar for magical purposes, and yet he does not think to save her. But maybe Viren did save her. Yes, he has a very dark, pessimistic view of the world, and yes, he is abusive to his kids, seeing them as ends to his goal instead of actual people that he should care about and love. Despite all this, he's not Ozai. He's not completely 100% pure evil. If we're to use Avatar: The Last Airbender comparisons here, the character he is most like is Sozin, who genuinely believed he was acting in the greater interest of the world, and thus his controversial methods were necessary. Look at it from a pragmatic perspective. If Sarai dies, and Harrow learns that Viren could have saved her, Harrow is never going to take Viren's advice again. This is the calculation going through Viren's head as he considers whether or not to save Sarai. Of course, we the audience know that after the death of Thunder Avazandum, Harrow is going to feel guilty enough that he stops listening to Viren's advice in the first place. But Viren, at this point, does not know that. If you are Viren, and you are thinking relatively rationally, which is not guaranteed considering the stress he was under, but is a reasonable assumption considering he had enough of his wits about him to get Sarai's last breath in a jar, then yes, if you're Viren, you save her. Or rather, you revive her. Viren does not stop her from dying so that he can collect the last breath as a weapon against Thunder Avazandum, but after she dies, he brings her back to life. So what is the problem? Why does Harrow think she is dead? Because he never sees her again, and because Viren, his closest advisor, tells him she is dead. Apparently, there is a grave, as Callum and Ezrin visit it relatively frequently, but if Sarai and Viren wanted to fake Sarai's death, I don't see why they couldn't have done it. I mean, Viren is an extremely powerful dark mage. I don't think it would have been too hard to, take another body and make it look more like Sarai. I do not know whether Viren has the ability to do this. It resembles the polyjuice potions in Harry Potter more than anything. But considering that Viren has the ability to raise the dead, I do not think morphing a body is completely outside his wheelhouse. However, this evokes more questions than it answers. Why would Viren want to fake her death? Why would Sarai want her death to be faked? Is it possible that there is a conspiracy between the two of them? It is unlikely. Based on the picture we get of Sarai back when she was alive, she seemed a lot more like Ezrin than Viren or even Harrow. Though she is a brave warrior like her sister Amaya, she is also a gentle soul who is extremely idealistic and believes that nothing good can come of dark magic. She constantly lobbied her husband to cut ties with Viren and take what she believed to be the more moral path. If I am remembering right, she is the one who says that dark magic is a shortcut. This is a debatable point, especially considering there seem to be some things that can only be done with dark magic. But this comment nonetheless provides insight into her thought patterns. Would a person like this willingly side with Viren? No. Not unless everything we believe about her is wrong. But a person like this would object to being brought back to life by dark magic. At this point, we have no idea what it feels like to be brought back by this kind of magic. Viren doesn't exactly get much of a chance to talk after he's brought back at the end of Season 3. So we don't yet know if you feel exactly as you did before you were revived, or if you feel different, drained, somehow emptier. If it is the latter, will she be repulsed? I believe she will be. Even if there is not a sizable difference, though, I cannot expect her to be overjoyed. To be alive solely because of a source of magic you consider immoral, that must be devastating. So I believe she leaves. She does not want to face her husband and kids after this. Though she despises Viren, the two of them concoct a plan to keep her disappearance a secret. She says that she would rather be thought of as dead than thought of as someone who was resurrected by dark magic. Viren is initially shocked by this, but he promises to keep her secret. It benefits him at any rate. True, this does not line up perfectly with our current account of these events, but the only definitive account we have comes from Viren in episode 306, Thunderfall, and it is completely reasonable to assume that Viren skewed the events in his retelling in order to paint him in a different light. So where is Sarai now, if she is still alive? It is tempting to think that she returned to the place where she came from, but if the point is to evade detection, I do not think that would be the best idea. More than likely, she wants to start over. Though she wants to forget about what happened, she can't. If she disappeared into the far forest, she might not know that King Harrow is dead, making her children orphans. She might not even know that her last breath was used to kill the dragon Thunderavazandum. But the war between humans and elves is wide-ranging. Even if she managed to initially extricate herself from it, there is no reason to believe she would be able to keep herself distant from it forever. She will have to explain herself, and her children will be shocked. Everything they believed about her will be proven wrong. So thank you all for watching. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Donate to my Patreon if you can, and you want to see more videos like this. Yeah, maybe this theory was a little ridiculous, but it's so interesting, and there are so many ways you could take it. That's what I really love about this show. It's a show full of possibilities, and I can't wait to see how the show expands upon these possibilities later on. So anyway, tune in soon for my next analysis. It will be coming soon. Thank you all again. Adios, comrades.